Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you and Senator Udall for your indulgence. Let me join the committee briefly. This is an issue, as you know, I have a great interest in and has a profound impact on our state of South Dakota, so thank you for giving me a chance to ask a couple questions. And I just want to echo what Senator Tester said and just say it as plainly as possible, and that is that Indian Health Service just continues to underperform, and the consequences continue to negatively impact the quality of care and with sometimes devastating consequences. So what we see is taxpayer dollars get wasted, patients are put at risk. We have significant problems at the facilities in South Dakota, even after two IHS facilities had entered into systems improvement agreements with CMS. They continue to find serious deficiencies at both facilities. And these systemic problems are what prompted Senators Barrasso, Hoeven, and I to introduce the Restoring Accountability in the IHS Act, which is one of the issues that we're here to discuss today. But it's long past time to address the problems with IHS. They've been identified time and time and time again. And this bill is aimed at giving the Indian Health Service and the tribes the tools that they need to provide quality care for patients. And our tribes just deserve better than the status quo. And this hearing, I think, is an important first step in getting these reforms passed through Congress and hopefully to the President's desk for his signature. I want to ask, if I might, though, Director Buchanan, a question that has to do with what's going on in South Dakota, as I referenced it earlier. And I appreciate the IHS's efforts to address these systemic issues, but it seems to me that what my colleagues and I are told by IHS often doesn't match up with what's happening on the ground. You mentioned in your testimony that in November of 2016, IHS launched the Quality Framework and Implementation Plan to strengthen the quality of care and organizational capacity. And yet in April, 12 months after the Rosebud and Pine Ridge IHS facilities entered into their systemic improvement agreement with CMS, unannounced CMS site visits found both facilities out of compliance for failures within the governing body and the quality assessment and performance improvement programs. Even more concerning is feedback from my staff and what I hear from Pine Ridge and Rosebud tribal members that the quality of care has not improved and in some cases has gotten worse. So my question is, how can we trust IHS in addressing these issues when CMS site visits and tribal members consistently say otherwise?
That's a great point. I acknowledge the concerns that you bring up. What we are doing is implementing the quality framework going forward, specifically related to, we mentioned organizational capacity, which is one of our priorities. The other priority is transparency and accountability, communications with the tribe, which I believe we've increased even more so. Accreditation, trying to maintain that going forward. So we've been doing several things to make those changes to be more long-term going forward. So implementing the quality framework, putting area quality assurance officers at the area level, at the service unit levels is another activity we've done. We've redoubled our efforts by bringing folks from other areas to assist. As to Ms. Kitchion's point, we don't want short-term fixes. We want them to be sustained over the long period of time. So,
how much are you, because one of the things in your testimony you state, IHS is committed to regular and meaningful tribal consultation and collaboration for a sound and productive relationship with the tribes. That's your quote. But what we continually hear about is that there's a lack of consultation. I mean, it's a complaint that I deal with all the time, and as does my staff. And so what steps are you taking in the midst of this mess that we have in South Dakota to consult with and hear from the tribes when it comes to some of the issues that we've raised about quality?
Right. Another great question. Some of the things that we're doing, we've created a template. One of the things that comes to mind is the request for budgets and financial documents and those sorts of things. As the area director while I was in the Great Plains, provided those documents, what I thought, at least twice, to all the tribal leaders in the Great Plains. So there was obviously a breakdown in communication. what we've done specifically related to the budget issue is we've created a template that we'll be utilizing for all, not only Great Plains, but throughout IHS as a template of those financial documents that's reproducible, that we can standardize those and be streamlined. Some of the other things that we're doing is creating, we've had all tribes calls where an issue gets brought up, there's questions, whether it's related to the budget, we'll provide a Budget 101 to increase those communications and transparencies. Specifically, that an issue that was raised regarding the budget, the $300 million decrease in the budget, we reached out to all the tribes and had a call to explain those the $300 million reduction, and also where that information can be found on websites across the agency.
Okay, and Madam Chair, I want to be respectful of the committee's time, so I have some other questions I'd like to submit for the record, but I just want to say that I hope that this committee can move quickly on this legislation that is being discussed today. I think there are some steps in here that will help enormously with some of the issues that have been identified, certainly with respect to the Great Plains tribes issues, but hopefully all across the country. So thank you for the time. Thank you.
Great.